All right, we're going to be talking a little bit about pop art. So let's get started. First, you're going to need a piece of paper, and pop art, as we know, is popular images or everyday items. So I'm going to go ahead and use a coffee cup. I'm using a pen to draw mine so that you can see it better than a pencil, but you're going to go ahead and use a pencil. And I'm going to use a large image with very little details and no words. I'm doing this because next time we are going to add a thick black line to our image, and we're going to be doing that using black glue. So it's going to be really difficult to do super fine details and words with this black glue. So now that my image is done, we can get our black glue, and we twist the orange lid. When it's popped up like that, that means it is open. When you're done, you just twist the orange lid back shut. Okay, so we are going, sometimes you gotta pick the boogers. We're going to put the orange part right on our paper and squeeze just a little bit, and we're gonna follow those lines right around our image. We saw images of pop art, and we know that they have nice dark black outlines that separates each shape from the other shape. So that's kind of what we're doing here. If you make a mistake, we can't erase it, so take your time. Let's talk about the background. We didn't draw the background, but we can go ahead and use the black glue with no lines. We can do lines in our background, or we can do like an explosion type of zigzag line in the background. It's whatever you feel like is appropriate for your art. And I'm just going zigzag, zigzag. This is the one I chose. You might choose a different one. You're going to go right around your image, either with lines going from your image out or a zigzag line like this. So now that this is done, we can bring this to the drying rack, and it's on to the colors. All right, the first thing we need to do when we're adding color is we need to think about what we want to keep white. So take a few minutes and decide what on here you want to keep white, or what on your image that you want to keep white. Now that you have that in mind, this is going to be my white part. Now that you have that in mind, we know that pop art has the use of really bright colors. So we are going to decide the next part, which one we want to have dots in them. We saw lots of repetition of dots, and we're going to decide which section we want dots in. Now this is one entire section. There's no line that breaks it up. This is one entire section. This is one entire section. If you have a line that breaks up your shape, then that's a different section. But this right here is what I'm going to put dots in. So you need to decide where you're going to put dots. And we're going to use the end of our paintbrush. You just dip and dot. And we're taking our time. As we saw in the pop art examples, the dots are not real close to each other. They're not touching. So we're going to take our time and try to get our dots close but not touching. If you're getting too much on your paintbrush, you can always just scoop it off. If you made a mistake, like I don't really like how the glue went there, you can just kind of put a dot over it. It'll probably cover up and nobody will be able to see it. Okay, at your table you also have a bin. One side has water, one side has a paper towel. You can just take this and kind of clean it off in the paper towel. All right, now that we have our dots, now we need to decide which section is going to have stripes. One of these sections needs stripes because pop art is all about repetition. So I am going to pick, I think, the outside to do stripes. So I have my color and I'm just gonna put some stripes in my background. They all need to go the same way. So I can't do some down and then some this way at the same, in the same area. So all my lines are going down. I guess I could have gone out this way. I didn't think about that. Make sure whatever you decide, you stick with it the whole way. I decided to go all down, so I've got to make a big stripe that way. And I'm going right up to the black lines. So I can use the top of my paintbrush and I can go right up to the black lines. Okay, so now that I have my striped section, I'm moving this in front so you can see. I draw the letter X on the bottom of my cup, and then I can dry it off in my paper towel. Probably don't want to dry it off there. Can make the letter X again and dry it off in my paper towel. Now hopefully you remember what section you wanted to keep white. This was my section. So here on out, we're just going to fill in the other sections with color. Being sure that we don't get it on the black paint. We're being mindful and taking our time. Showing good craftsmanship. You can just rub it off with your finger though, if you get it on the black paint. That black glue comes in handy because it's almost like a fence showing us which way to go and what area to stay in. Right, I will clean my paintbrush off. When your water gets too muddy, you can dump it out and get some fresh water. Okay, and we're gonna go on to another section. I think my next section will be this top part of the coffee cup. For this section, I'm using the top of my paintbrush because it's a skinny little section. Okay, so that is done. I'm cleaning my paintbrush off with a letter X and I'm dipping it in the paper towel to dry it off. And one last section is that section. Oh, I forgot to do my donut hole. Better get my yellow back out. Okay, cleaning off my paintbrush so I can get my yellow. All right, so now that we are finished, we can take our art to the drying rack.